Lynched on CTV, proudly brought to you by Christchurch's #1 dining offer, Sequoia 88 at the Redwood Hotel, a food concept unequalled. Well, it's been a big year for Christchurch businessman Anthony Goff. He's largely seen as the poster boy for our city when it comes to the rebuild. So how does he keep himself happy, and what actually inspired him to stick around in this city? Tonight, Anthony Goff joins me and Lynched starts right now. Good evening. Well, he celebrated one of the biggest concrete pours in the Christchurch Central Business District when foundations were laid for his Oxford Terrace retail development. Sarah has been quick to jump on his bandwagon, heralding his success as theirs. So tonight, Anthony Goff is my guest, and a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you. And you're wearing a brand new suit.
This is straight in from Thailand.
Straight in from Thailand for the debut performance on Lynched.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, very nice.
Yes, I see the noose sitting above my head, but hopefully it'll stay up there.
And this is the button to push it, you see. No, I'm joking. You, my friend, you decide to stick around in Christchurch when it could have been so easy to go to Auckland, to go to Wellington, but you chose to say, I'm going to give Christchurch a second chance. Why did you bother?
What a fantastic city to be in. This is a chance of a lifetime to actually create a new city. Nobody normally would ever get this opportunity. Why wouldn't you want to be here? It's a tremendous opportunity, a lot of fun. I'm here for fun, and so should everyone else be.
You are here for fun, but did you ever think to yourself, when you saw all your bars and restaurants completely stuffed, did you think, bugger it, I'm out?
No, no is not an answer for me.
I know, but I find it surprising. I'm still thinking, did you never once think to yourself,
never.
I've got to go?
No, never. I said, no, I dare say I know Christchurch really well. I feel comfortable with it. I believe in myself, I believe in what we're doing, and I know I've got the right formula for the bars and restaurants. We all love hospitality, we all love to socialise. Do you remember in your mind when you saw all your bars and restaurants along Oxford Terrace? Do you remember that day when you realised that, shite, they're gone? And we didn't. We actually thought they were okay. Believe it or not, we said it was one or two will go, the rest will stay. So the eternal optimist, no, they're repairable, we're trying to do a bit here, a bit there. June knocked them all over. It was the June earthquake that actually finished Oxford Terrace. And at that point I said, oh damn, this is all over. So at that point, we then organised to get the buildings down and then try and get the insurance company to come on board. And they're a little bit sort of tardy in that direction.
Funny that.
Yes, but we got there. That's all right. They paid me out. They said, well, do you do a settlement at a discount? I said, no, come with me. Let's do the build together. And they didn't like hearing that. And I've since been paid out at 100% of my insured value. Isn't that nice? Nice for them. Well, nice for both of us. I said, how long do you want to pay loss adjusters monitoring me? They said, would you settle at full value? I said, delighted to. Excellent. Yes. So a win-win situation. Absolutely. Well, you know, that's nice to hear because it hasn't been a win-win situation for so many other local business people across the city. Now, I don't put this down to luck, because I think luck has nothing to do with your success. But how were you successful in getting the terrace up and ready when so many around you were stuffed? I dare say it's the old philosophy. Don't take no for an answer. I can see the vision, create the vision, and then try and progress from there. We put out to we went to 10 architectural firms for expression of interest, selected 4, paid 4 to do a scheme, selected 1 and got on with it. And then we did early procurement, and that's where we did our early concrete pours. What you've seen there, that's all my own money. There is no borrowed dollars there. That's all 100% Anthony Goff dollars sitting there. And the moment we're doing some changes, because we thought everyone wanted little bars and restaurants, and actually they want big grunty ones, so I'm having to take walls out between tenancies that we originally were going to have. So that's some tenancy changes. That means you've got to go back for consent changes. And the bank said, oh, it's costing too much, so we've got to drop the price a bit on, make some changes that hopefully nobody will notice, like building B, the middle building, the timber one. It was going to be double skinned. I said, why have we got the timber on the outside? Let's make that Lorraine screen. So we're removing the inner skin that you'd never see anyway and make a saving.
So in a way, the construction that's going on, the document that says what should be in your precinct is a living document. Has the ability to change. Were you personally hurt by the headlines that were saying at one point Anthony Goff's precinct stalled on hold, and there was a lot of criticism that was fired your way saying, it was just a talker, we all knew that. Did you think?
No, it's water off a duck's back to me.
Is it?
It really is. I guess I've stayed single focused. I know where I want to go. I know I'm doing the right thing, totally believe in what I'm up to, and it is the right thing. Yes, I've got to make some changes. You're absolutely right about the living document. I think a lot of people think that, you just sort of snap and it's all done and you just follow a path. It isn't. It's a treacherous road that you're going down to achieve these developments. But what an exciting time for us all, and truly exciting for me to be part of the rebuild.
And when you say you're excited, I know you're excited. In the make-up room, you are excited about the rebuild of Christchurch. And I never thought, and I've said this before on Newstalk ZB, that I'm excited about seeing development. I'm excited about seeing buildings when you go down Oxford Terrace, of course, your one, Durham Street, there's beautiful big glass buildings going there. But I'm still slightly frustrated, Anthony, at the lack of progress in the CBD, which is largely owned by the government. What do you see in that?
Well, finally the government anchor projects are moving. They should have been the lead items, and they're actually the tail waggers. They're the ones out the back.
Isn't it interesting? It's the private investors who have been the lead items, so to speak.
Correct.
Why was the government so slow? Is it called Sarah?
No, I think it's probably the government has lots of boxes they have to tick and double check and triple check, whereas we tend to take a lot more risk and we tend to move on with it and say, stuff this, we're going to do it anyway. But what's really interesting, in the last month, there's been a huge lift of confidence within the business community. When you go into town now, as you and I talked a month ago, was it happening? I said, yes, it is. I challenged you to go and take a drive, and you did, and you put it on your Facebook, and I was so impressed, showing the buildings that are actually happening. Cambridge Terrace, there's $1 billion worth of private investment happening right now. You turn around and look at the retail precinct. There's me, there's Nick Hunt, the other half of the block. You've got Tim Glasson, you've got Carter, who's announced he's on his way. You've got Ballantyne's there, you've got Guthrie ready to move. Hey, that's a major part. You've got the opening of Sean Stockman's building with all those lovely bars on the corner of High Street and Litchfield Street, just open. Awesome. So it's actually happening. We're seeing it suddenly happening in the centre of the city, and there is real confidence there. People like my accountant who works out a Rusty Road near Hornby and said, no, I'm here forever. A month ago he said, actually we're thinking of moving back into the centre city. There is a real gravitational pull, and it's going to gather momentum.
It is just starting, isn't it? It feels like it's just started in the last couple of months.
Correct.
As you say, when I was going around my little wee car posting up great photos of buildings, I was getting excited. I think if I can get excited and I ain't got money, then surely the international investors will. I want to discuss international investors shortly on the program. I also want to talk to you about Christchurch Central City before and the challenges we're now facing after. That's next. Stay with us. Welcome back to Lynched on CTV. My guest tonight is Anthony Goff. Anthony, before the earthquakes, there was a sense that the central city was dying before, and in some respects, the earthquakes did a favour. What do you see in that? Are we right? Because I was talking to my mother, as I always do, and I said to her, when did you last go to the central city? And she said, I would occasionally go if there was a Ballantyne sale, but other than that, why bother? I've got Riccarton Mall. Is that fair?
I think it's very fair. I think the centre city was on a slimy downhill slide.
Why was that though?
Malls are incredibly strong, and we have this constant belief that we shouldn't have cars in the centre city, which is we're all wedded to our cars. We don't have a London Underground system. We never will. We need to wake up to the fact that cars are an important part of our transport system. So yes, we were fighting a rearguard action, but the earthquake's actually done a huge favour. Blueprint is an exceptional document. I never guessed that they would take the centre city and say we're going to halve the commercial zone, and then rent it with a park called the Frame, and then within that frame you've got all these anchor projects. So what we've ended up with is about 1/3 of the amount of commercial space to develop on. hey, that's going to pressure cook the whole centre city.
But what is your sense on some who suggest that it would have been better off not to ring fence the CBD but let it grow organically to allow some of the smaller businesses to come back? There is a sense from government critics who say because it was locked off for so long, it hasn't allowed some of the local heart back into the city.
I think that's fair comment, but there's also places for organic growth. You know, New Brighton's a classic place. Rents there, $10,000 a year, $10 a day rental. One of my shops there. Hey, tell me if that's not an unreasonable amount of rent. $10 a day. That's what he pays. So if you want to start a business, that's a good start-up place. But if you want to be in the top flight, you want to be in the premium area, you're going to pay the dollars. You're going to pay them the mileage that goes with it. Riccarton Mall, Westfields, you know, it's 2,000 a square metre. But you want to cross the road on the Riccarton Road, it's 500 a metre, quarter of the rental. They can't let the premises. Westfields have got no vacancies. So if you're in the right spot, you'll actually command the right rents.
Anthony, you've got on with it, and we know you've got on with it. Are you frustrated by some of the other business owners that still have not got on with it, and we're still seeing buildings in central Christchurch where they're in limbo? They either need to come down, they need to be repaired, or they just need to bloody well bugger off. Excuse my language, but I get really frustrated.
I think you're absolutely right. The only thing is that they're actually helping me because they're doing nothing. They're actually, those that are doing something are going to collect those tenants that are around. You know, the early bird catches the worm. I'm a great believer of that, and Restarts is my shopping area. Now you might say, oh, what's shopping area? Yes, because as a landlord I'm looking for tenants. And that's the sort of holding ground. So that's the core of what the centre city is going to be, and it's going to be an awesome city.
Let's talk about the Restart Mall. You were a huge champion of this, and it's been a great success. So congratulations, first of all, and I'm happy to say that. I think it's great. I was down there in the weekend, and I actually feel the new location's better for some reason. I don't know why, it just feels like it's a better space. Would you like to see that as a permanent fixture now? I know it's always meant to be a transitional, but I firmly believe perhaps you and those who invested in that site probably didn't realise just how big a deal it's now become. It's now almost become an icon in itself, hasn't it?
It has. It far exceeded our expectations. We thought it'd be okay, but it's not okay. It's exceptional. It's wonderful. But no, I think it is only a transition thing, and we will see it shift around. That's why it's in containers. But it cost $1 million to shift it from where it was in the old Whitcross site to where it is now. So it's not cheap to shift that around. But we will see it shrink. It needs to be replaced. It's only so long you can live out of a container, and we need better quality shops.
And the better quality shops will eventually come. Other good news, and I like to be talking about something positive in Christchurch. The other good news, Anthony, of course, is we've got the new casual mall retail space that's going to be in development. Give us the details. What do we know about this?
Well, obviously the terrace developments, which is primarily bars and restaurants, two-storey. Big office building, Westpac building, which is a 6-storey, huge building. We're also going to be having offices in there. I've got a lot let, and I'm putting a big car park building in. I've got that out to tender at the moment, my big car park building. And then right beside me, Nick Hunt, the other half of that city block. Then there's Tim Glasson, the old Triangle Centre. You'll notice the cars aren't parked on there. He's ready to go. He's actually about to mobilise. He's let the contract to lease. It's all go. Then you've got Carter. Carter's already announced he's on his way. He's cut a deal with council over his crossing car park. That's great. So he's moving. You've got Ballantyne's very active and moving, wanting to go where they are. You've got Guthrie's right beside him who's ready to go. It's actually all happening, and it's all happening in the retail precinct. Give it 2 years, that's going to be absolutely flying. Justice will be up and running by there. Bus exchange will be up and running. 2 years' time, the centre city will be totally different.
Some of the frustrations have always been about the fact that the roadblocks with Sarah and government agencies. In your view, what have been the biggest roadblocks? Is it insurance or...?
No, I think locking the city down for 16 months was a wrong call by Sarah and the government and Civil Defence. Yes, locked it down for a month or two, but they're so paranoid about anyone getting hurt, they locked everyone out. So that's allowed the suburbs to actually develop. You've got, you know, your Lincoln Road, your Victoria Street, Hazeldean Park. That shouldn't have been allowed to happen, but it has. But we're clawing our way back.
You made some interesting comments about the suburbs, and I want to pick you up on that next. Also, we'll discuss what Anthony Goff thinks about the convention centre. Stay with us. Welcome back to Lynched here on CTV. My guest tonight is the internally optimistic Anthony Goff. Anthony, the Convention Centre. I had Gary Moore on the program last week saying it was a time waster, it was backwards thinking, we don't need it, we're oversupplied with convention centres in New Zealand. And you say?
Absolute rubbish. What a fantastic asset that'll be for Christchurch. The conventions are what bring an enormous amount of money to Christchurch and to other cities. We need a big grunty convention centre, and wonderful that it's going to get leads and get on its way. This is so important for Christchurch.
I mean, Tim Hunter from Tourism Canterbury would say that we need this simply because it'll bring people to Christchurch. But really, do people come to Christchurch to see a convention centre? Now, I do understand that, conferences are important, but have we got enough conferences to fill out the convention centre for it to make money, though?
Yes, well, they don't come to Christchurch because it's Christchurch for a convention. They come for the convention that's there. Now, in the past, we had one of the biggest convention centres in New Zealand. So that actually meant the big conventions came to Christchurch. Hey, let it just continue. I think we need to bring these people. And then they say, oh, Christchurch, that's that funny place that had an earthquake, isn't it? Let's have a look at it as well. So tremendously positive for Christchurch, brings a lot of money. They tend to all arrive with loose wallets. It's wonderful. They come and spend, come to my bars.
But Gary Moore was saying all it really does is produce a low-wage economy because you're only employing X amount of people to clean and to cater. Has he got a point there?
No. It brings in enormous dollars. Yes, there's all tiers of wages in this whole thing, but actually there's an enormous amount of money. If those that haven't been to a convention, they start at $2,000 to be there for 2 or 3 days. There's big costs involved, and you get thousands of people come to these things. They are tremendously successful, very positive for the economy. They bring people to a city that they wouldn't normally go to.
I suppose the one thing positive is that in terms of international investors, we've finally got one, the Australian company that's investing money in this convention centre. But without that and without the likes of yourself, the Hunters, etc., the Glassons, there hasn't been much international investment in Christchurch. Has that concerned you, that it's all been up to local investors? Perhaps with the exception of the Vodafone building.
Yeah, but that was actually tailored by a local person and
there
then
you go.
sold as a finished deal. I'm not surprised. Think of if Japan, they've had the big tsunami, and am I rushing off to invest in Japan? I wouldn't know what I'm doing. It's the locals that will lead the charge, and that's what we're seeing. And then you're getting the government rolling in afterwards with their anchor projects, and later on will be the overseas investors. I'm not surprised. Hey, but the early bird catches the worm. That's where the best deals are.
I want to talk to you about New Brighton, an area that seems to be dwindling away in some respects, but then in other respects it has local investors now coming in to build a new apartment block, which I hope will spark more investment. But apart from the argument that malls kills New Brighton, what do you think will revitalise New Brighton?
It's the area that will actually get the start-up businesses, the people who don't have very much money, who have got an idea. The rents are not big. My typical rents are $10,000 a year for a shop. One of my tenants says paying $10 a week. Sorry, $10 a day is his rent. So sells ice creams. His first 2 ice creams through the door are paid as rent. Sorry if that's first customer pays your rent. There's no business in town that normally gets rent paid by the first customer through the door. So these are the sort of things, that's the thing that New Brighton will bring, is these quirky things that will come out. And that's where I see New Brighton going down that quirky line. You always get that, and that's the resurgence. And then you'll get all the rest that follows. So I see it as a
Do you think New Brighton will eventually
area.
revitalise itself? I mean, we've got some great business people there now like Paul Zahn and Tony Brooks that do seem to be putting their money where their mouths are, or vice versa, and are trying to create a buzz that perhaps wasn't previously there, say, 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, we'll get there. Seaside suburb, anywhere else in the world, it would be prime real estate. It's just going to take a long time to get there. But we're going to see it go through this resurgence. And yes, I've got money invested there. I believe in New Brighton, but it's a long-term vision. It's not going to be a fixed, easy dollar overnight. But that's where the cheapest shops are. If anyone wants a shop, go and rent a shop down in New Brighton. That's the cheapest area in Christchurch.
Anthony Goff, you're an optimist.
Yes.
You're a realist. And you're also a Buddhist. I did not know that. When did you convert to that?
Well, I just said, I've got a Thai partner. She's lived in New Zealand for 38 years or something, so she's more Thai, more Kiwi than Thai, and they're very strong on their Buddhist thing. But Buddhists are very accepting. They accept you for whatever you are. They don't hold grudges. They don't think, oh, he's got more money than me or anything else. They're incredibly accepting of everyone. And so you've got this situation of really kind, caring people. If you go to the Buddhist temple on Marston's Road, every day of the week at 12 o'clock, you get a free feed. Fabulous Thai food.
Oh, hang on, where's this?
Marston's Road. Honestly, they are so welcoming. And
They are welcoming because there's a temple on Riccarton Road.
now that's
Or is that something else?
that's the Chinese Buddhist.
Oh, that's
Slightly
different.
And the interesting
But
thing
they
is,
gave free food away during the earthquakes as well.
yeah, well,
There you
Thai
go.
Well, this one does it right now, all the way, and always has. Every lunchtime, free food, no matter who you are.
Has this influenced your business behaviour, and do you think?
No, I've always been sort of very outward going. I think I talk about karma, and karma is don't ever do anything that you wouldn't be happy to receive in your own way. So don't shortchange somebody, don't cheat them, don't do anything wrong, do the best you can. Very much the Buddhist system is also around that karma theory of not doing the dirty on somebody. And you'd reap it back enormously. As I keep saying to everyone, I hate to sleep with myself. So I actually like to sleep with someone who's quite nice.
You see, there's always that perception of business people who are successful have to be ruthless to get what they want.
No, it don't have to be. Not at all.
Have you had to be ruthless, though, to get what you want?
No. Yes, I've had people take the mickey out of me. Their loss. At the end of the day, they lose. Yes, I've had to be a bit tough on some of those people, and you have to get thick-skinned to some people who don't accept where it's at, and I'm saying, well, if you don't like it, move on. You know, if you don't want to rent my premises, move on. That's what my business is. But I also try to look at what it's like for the other person. But it's very much an accepting side of life and trying to make the best out of where it is today. Earthquake, I never expected all my investments in Centre City go whoosh, gone, and I'm having to rebuild. But as you can see, I'm out there, I'm determined to get there. And it's that determination that's so important.
Describe living by the principles of the Buddha.
Well, it's a very accepting philosophy. Don't criticise people, don't hurt people. Think of how you'd like to be treated, and you'll find you actually get back double what you give out. Never misses for me.
Finally, whenever I have a guest on the program, I always ask them, or those who are essentially responsible for running our city, give me something positive. Peter Townsend gave it a crack from the Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce, and he said, Christchurch is a great place to live. The rebuild will be finished in 20 years. So he started off well, and then when he said 20 years, I wanted to, you know what, go crazy. I think the rebuild will be a lot faster than that. What do you see in this?
Well, you may have remembered it earlier in the program, I had said, give it 2 years and that retail precinct will be totally different. So you're going to see a really strong centre city retail. But the total rebuild of Christchurch is 20 or 30 years. Peter Townsend's quite right, but the big changes will be done in 2 years. 2 years is where you'll see the huge change. That's where it will have real legs, real excitement, and you and I will be able to go and have a drink on Oxford Terrace next year.
Really?
Yep.
I'm going to hold you to that. So in 2 years' time, though, just finally, what do you think we will actually see?
You're going to see.
Because you know what I want? I want the progress. I want the, you know, a bit more of this.
Well, it's happening. You know, that's why I say go into Restart area, go into Cashel Street. You know, there's a big crane up there over Nick Hunt's side. There's me building.
Okay.
I've started. The triangle scene's about to start next month. It's all happening.
I'm going to hold you to that wine.
That'll be good.
Thanks very much for your time.
Good.
Anthony Cobb, everybody. Appreciate that. Well, if you want to comment on tonight's program, please do by heading to my Facebook page and join the online conversation, facebook.com/Lynched in NZ. Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell joins me on Newstalk ZB tomorrow for the weekly mural catch-up. But from me and all of us here at CTV, have a great night. Lynched on CTV was proudly brought to you by Christchurch's #1 dining offer, Sequoia 88, at the Redwood Hotel, a food concept unequalled.